So this is the fourth patient day that we have organised as a group of patients for patients. We are Net Patient Network. My name is Mark McDonald. I'm the chairperson of the group. We set up actually 4 years ago. It was a vision of Tommy Gorman to create a patient group for the likes of this event. And as I say, we're just a group of patients that came together and we set ourselves some tasks. One of the tasks is to run a patient day like this every year. And that's been very successful. And we seem to go from strength to strength with great attendances each year. The other things that we do is we set up a website which has information about NETs and specific Irish information relevant to us here in this country. And that's gone well, but in more recent times, we set up a Facebook group, and that's becoming a very active community of people. So we'd encourage people to join the Facebook group, and it's closed, which means that it's not visible to the outside world, anybody who just goes browsing. So anything you say in that group is personal and held just within that group. So you can talk to other patients and give advice. And I also want to mention Owen and Mary, who look after that, and they do a wonderful job keeping that Facebook group going. Also on our website there is a sign-up form for an email newsletter, and we also encourage everybody, if you haven't already done it, to join that, because what that does is that's effectively our membership list for being a part of Net Patient Network. And the more people we have in that, the more it strengthens our voice in terms of the dealings we have with outside parties. So please join that as well if you haven't already. Other things we do is advocacy behind the scenes of trying to promote the case for better treatment for NETs patients and improving our situation. So that's done very much on a quietly behind the scenes background. And then we also try to provide patient supports. So some of you will be aware that you get in touch with one of us either through Facebook or the website, or just knowing somebody who knows somebody. And then we try to get back in touch with you and we can talk to you about our experiences, whether it be some people have travelled to Rotterdam or Uppsala and giving them our knowledge or experience in that. Just talking through a newly diagnosed patient, try and give them some support and some information about what our experiences have been. And what we've decided to do in the coming year is to try to set up a telephone line. It won't be manned, but it will be leave a message and we'll get back to you. So for people that aren't really into technology, then we have the ability to get in touch with us and we'll get back to you. We're also looking to see, can we introduce any sort of a nurse aspect to that. That'll obviously be dependent on cost, but we'll see if we can do that. That's something we want to have in place before this time next year for the next patient meeting. Along the way, we've done things like the patient booklet, which you all got when you registered here. So that's something that we've done, and that was done with the help of Novartis. I also want to take the time now to thank our sponsors, who are Novartis, Ipsen and Pfizer, who fund us, and they make the likes of today being able to happen. I also want to thank as well the people that have come here today, the doctors, to spend their Saturday with us. They get no reward for this, they got no payment, this is all in their own time, and without them, like, we wouldn't have the today. So we have Dermot O'Toole at the end. We have, well, Tommy Gorman is sitting next to him, which is part of our patient group, our president of our patient group, Donal O'Shea, Justin Gagan, and we have Lisa Cullen, who comes every year to the event. Is Per around? Ah, Per, do you want to sit here, please? And we have Per Hellman, who's the head of surgery in Uppsala in Sweden. Uppsala, yeah. And Per has flown all the way over here, given up his weekend to be here. So, I want to emphasize all of the people here. They're here out of their own goodwill to help us and support us and to be available to give us information and give us advice and answer our questions. On the committee, if I could just point out the committee members. So maybe you could stand up and I can just say who you are, because during the day, if anybody has any questions or if you want to speak to one of us or have us ask questions on your behalf, then please find us out. So at the back of the hall there we have Terry, and just to his right we have Carmel. In front then we have Owen and Mary. Where else we have? So we have John here on the left hand side, and Tom. No, he's getting chairs. We must be short of chairs. So there's 10 of us on the committee. Oh, we have Colin, who didn't stand up. Colin. So Colin's our treasurer, so he looks after all the money and makes sure everything's being done properly. I should say that any monies we get, nothing goes to any of the committee or anything. We do all this on our own spare time. We get nothing out of it other than the reward of being part of this and doing it. So in the past, we've used funds that we got from donations. We set up a fund, a Nets fund in Vincent's through the Friends of St. Vincent's, and Dermot is control of that. During the year, we had a new patient, Mick. So Mick, would you like to stand up? Mick Fallon was a recently diagnosed patient, but Mick did the Ring of Kerry, and he raised over €7,500, which he gave to Net Patient Network. So thank you very much, Mick. And as I say, those monies we use to do what we can for Nets, to hold the events like today, to hopefully implement this phone line and other activities. During the year, we also joined INCA, which is the International Neuroendocrine Cancer Alliance. And what that is a global grouping of patient support groups. And by joining that, it gives us an opportunity to hear what's happening in the world, and then to feed that back to you through our Facebook and through our email newsletters. And it also gives us then an opportunity to influence what's happening. It gives us a voice in that organization. And one of the first things there was an event in Brussels which we attended last week about what the EU is doing for rare cancers, and there was a specific session on NETs. Coming up, we have an invite to attend the eNets conference, which is in March next year. And eNets is a European-wide grouping, a medical grouping that controls the accreditation and of centres of excellence, and they set the standards of what happens. So for the first time this coming year, patient groups are being invited to attend a special session in that, and Net Patient Network will have a seat at the table as part of that. So that's good. On a lighter note, when we joined INCA, we got about 2,500 cups, paper cups, which you saw in your coffee and tea today. So they're all sitting at the back of the hall, and we would really like if people could take some of them with them and use them, just put them into your local shops, whatever, ask people to use them. It's just about awareness, about spreading awareness. We don't want to have any of them left by the time the end of the day comes, please.